What's going on, everybody? It's the Creative Fro, checking back in for another episode of Fireside Tech. I hope you enjoyed your week and are ready to learn something new, because today I'm going to be showing you how you can use ND filters to enhance your images. If you didn't get a chance to see, this past Wednesday we posted a video going over the capabilities of ND filters and why I wish I knew about them when I first started out. So if you have yet to see that video, I suggest you pause this video now and go check that out, and then come back to this video and you should be all set to speed. But before we dive into today's tutorial, let me remind you real quick to hit the big red subscribe button if you have yet to already, and also turn that notification bell on just for fun. So for today's tutorial, I'll be using the tripod that the camera is on right now, and I'll be packing my variable ND filter with the step up ring, and this is the lens I'll be using. This is the 24-105, and you're gonna see how you can capture amazing images with this setup. Without any further ado, let's jump right into this tutorial. So right now we're at our first location, and I chose this area here because there's a little bit of ripple in this water, so we can work on getting a long exposure photo here. And right now on the camera, I have it set up to be, there's no ND filter on the camera right now. And we have the shutter open for 1 second, and we're at f8 with ISO 200. So I'm gonna take a shot right now, and you can see what it looks like without the ND filter. And as you can see, we have a full white screen. So without having this filter on, there's too much light coming through the camera because the shutter's open for 1 second. So the whole second it's open, the light is going right to the sensor, which is causing the image to not show up. And also, I forgot to mention, we have it on a 2-second timer. So once I press the shutter down and let go, the shake shouldn't be there anymore, and it should make it more sturdy, because any movement during a long exposure photo is gonna make the outcome blurry. So we're gonna toss on the variable ND filter now, and I'll show you the difference. So now that with the filter on, it's at the lowest setting, so we're at 2, and there's 4 stops of light that we can choose. I'm gonna try to bump up the filter a little bit higher, so hopefully it blocks out more of that light. Since we didn't have a lot of motion going by the water, I wanted to go by some cars here to get some motion blur in the shots. So without this ND filter here, I wouldn't be able to get the effect that I'm getting. And you can see we're at full capacity, so I just bumped it up as high as it can go. I have the shutter for 1/4 of a second. So as the cars are driving by over here, we're taking the shot, and I have some already taken with this settings. I'll take a couple without the filter so you can see the difference. So now that you have a better visual understanding of what an ND filter can do for your images, let's talk about some of the pros and cons that the ND filter has. Starting with the pros, the first thing is, in the daytime, you're enabled to open up the shutter for a longer period of time. And by doing this, you're gonna create motion blur in your photos. And if you get around some waterfalls, you can make the water look really smooth. It depends how much movement there is in the water. The more there is, the softer the image will look. When you choose to use an ND filter, you can open up the aperture really wide to create a good shallow depth of field. And this is awesome when it is really bright outside, because now you can put the ND filter on top, open up the aperture as wide as it can go, and really get that depth of field you're looking for. So you'll notice when you go to edit your photos or edit your video clips that you'll be able to pull out a lot more blue in the skies. You can see the white of the clouds a lot better, and even the green if there's a lot of grass in the area too as well. Moving over to some of the cons of an ND filter, one of the problems you might run into is not being able to get your image in focus. This can be harder when shooting subjects because there's another piece of glass in front of the lens, so depending on how reliable your camera is, it might be difficult to get that focus. Luckily enough, with my camera and the work we are doing today, it was easy enough to get everything in focus, but you could run into issues if you are shooting a model or multiple people. So just keep that in mind. And that's why I suggest bringing a tripod, because that way you can lock your camera off, set it on a timer, and that way, once your hand is off the shutter, there won't be any shake, and hopefully your focus is a lot better. Another issue you may run into, and which I did myself today, is you'll get vignetting around the corner of your images. So all I had to do was crop in a little bit so you couldn't see the black edges. And depending how wide your lens is and the filter that you have, you might get more vignetting than others. If you have the vignetting, it's easy to solve that problem by just cropping in, as you can see in this example right here. Looking at this video clip, you could see the black edges around it too as well. And I was able to just do the same thing, crop in a little bit closer into the shot. That way you can't see the black edges. And ND filters don't only go for taking photos, you can use them for video clips too as well. If you're shooting your video on a brighter day, or you're shooting something that has reflection on it, this is where an ND filter comes in hand. You're gonna wanna set up the camera settings how you would normally set it up with the proper lighting and everything like that. But this is when you wanna put your ND filter on, and from there, if you have a variable one, you'll be able to change that amount of light that's coming through the camera sensor. And that's why I like the variable ND filters a little bit better, because you can keep your camera settings the same and then just adjust the exposure only by using the ND filter. So that's all I have about neutral density filters for today. I hope you have a better visual understanding on how it works and can start using it as a creative tool today. Please like the video if you did, comment down below if there's anything you want to see for Fireside Tech, and share this video if you think it could help anybody. I hope you enjoy your upcoming week and crush it. I can't wait to see you next Sunday for another episode of Fireside Tech. Until then, keep creating.